And this is like one of the greatest parts of Elden Ring is that when you die, or when you die to a boss, there's normally a side of grace right there. So you can
Yeah.
just jump right into it. You don't have to run through 5 minutes of enemies like you did in Dark Souls 2. Like
Yeah, or like what is it, the site, what's the site of
Sites of
Sites
America.
America, which are
Yeah.
like most of the time right outside of a boss fight, so you can just
Mhm.
spawn there, get your souls if you need to, and then if you can run away. So yeah, it does a great job of just, and again, this is the theme of this year, I think, is just not really wasting your time. You can
Yeah.
go in, do your thing, get out if you need to.
It's very thoughtful of your time, but it's still punishing of any miscalculations that you have.
Yes.
So like if you're too greedy,
Yes, I've
like
had
happens a lot.
plenty of times like that where I was just fighting. I think I was fighting like my fourth or fifth Erd Tree avatar, and they've all been the same except for this one can do Scarlet Rock.
Oh, is that the one in Khaled?
It is, yeah, the one. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, in Khaled. So I beat that one earlier, and I had send out my skeletal men, the two that you can summon from the ash, whatever. And then I just kind of circled around the tree, threw my fireballs at it, got it down to like a very sliver of health, ran out of magic, got on my horse and just kind of circled around and was attacking it. And I got it down to one hit and I charged in and it did like this spitting move where it almost one-shotted me. And I was like, see, I was like, I need to stop doing that because every time I feel like I've got the upper hand, it's like, no, you don't.
But it's funny that they bring up the tree sentinel, because that's like one of the first lessons of the game. It's like, just because you see a boss doesn't mean you have to fight it yet.
Yeah.
Which is like the complete opposite of a lot of other games where, the first boss you see is the first one you fight.
Yep.
Whereas like this one, like I got smacked around by the sentinel and I was like, okay, I'll come back later. And like, granted, I came back like just a few hours later and managed to kill him, but
yeah,
like, I don't know. It's kind of weird because so many new people are coming into this game and coming into like this franchise of games, and like they just don't understand that you don't have to fight. You don't have to fight a boss. You don't have to fight what's his face super early. You can go off and explore, level up, collect golden runes and use those to level up. Like there's so many other options of things you can do before, forcing your way through a boss. Ugh.
I feel like I could talk about this game for hours, and right now I just really want to play it. Yeah, it's just it's very rare nowadays that like when I'm not playing this game, I'm just thinking about it. Like I could not sleep last night because I was thinking about
what you wanted to do next.
I was like, what I want to do tomorrow. All right, it's like I know I've this boss fight I can't really beat. I remember this one spot that I got a grace point right next to a dungeon or right next to a cave, so I can go do that tomorrow and see what I can get out of that. Like it's just,
this really reminds me of the story that you told me about you and your friends playing Skyrim, and I'll let you tell it. But
yeah, so like the story, like it's right around like Skyrim came out, like maybe 4 or 5 days later. We were over at one of our buddies' house and we were smoking some hookah, whatever, and we were talking about the game and stuff like that, and laughing, having a time, and there was like about 30-second pause, and then we all collectively were like, I want to go play Skyrim right now. And then we left and played Skyrim. It's so good. Like the world is huge. It's a huge open world, but there's so many grace points. And people that love that feeling of, oh, there's a bonfire. Like, thank God. Like you still get a little bit of that feeling when you're in the actual,
like the legacy dungeons,
and the castles. Like you still get that feeling, and it really just boils down to just being a Dark Souls game at that point.
And I had like a kind of weird moment where I thought I had found like a secret area, like an offshoot area, and it made me feel really good. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I'm gonna go like get a nice item at the end.
Yeah.
And it turns out like after I had gotten through it, it was a critical path. Like it was taking me to a completely new area that was, critical to the story itself. And I was like, man, that's kind of cool, where you feel like you're discovering something, but it's actually the game kind of like pushing you in a direction without you really knowing. I saw this big tower and it was kind of like shooting off the cliff and you couldn't really jump to it. And I didn't think it had any, like, I didn't think you could go there. I didn't think it had any real meaning aside from like aesthetically looking like a tower. But I saw like this branch. I saw this, it was a pretty thick limb, but I was like, I bet I could climb that. Or I bet I could get over there with that. And then I get over there, I see some messages, there's
Right,
signs
yep.
of life, so to speak. And I spend the next like 20 minutes just climbing or walking around the edge of the building,
Yep.
jumping between, jumping over holes, like going up, going down. And then I found these ladders that went way up, climbed around the building again, walked around it, and then finally got to the top and found a site of grace.
Wow.
And then I ended up I went inside and there's this whole thing inside. And I ended up going back down the tower by like dropping off of ledges and stuff. And like I would drop off to a ledge and that ledge would fall and it would bring me down like 100 feet, but I wouldn't die. So it was meant to happen.
Yeah.
And then I got down all the way to the very bottom and it took forever. And then I got to a boss and I did like 2 damage to this boss. So I was like, all right, I'm really not supposed to be here. But it was such a cool moment. Just pure discovery.